Hi guys, you are welcome back to another sewing tutorial. My name is Choma and this is Choma Stitches. On today's sewing tutorial, I'm going to be teaching us how I made this beautiful high-low blouse with waist snatching. If it's something you are interested in, definitely keep watching and don't forget to subscribe. If you're an old subscriber, you're welcome back. And if you are joining this channel for the first time, I hope you decide to subscribe and join this beautiful family. The fabric I'm working on today is a crepe fabric and I have 2 yards of fabric here. I'm measuring out the full length that I need for this and I'm marking 32 inches because I want it to really be long, the front part to be really long. And then for the width, I folded it according to the hip measurement. Divide your hip measurement by 4 and add your sewing allowance. However free you want it to be, you can also increase that according to your desire. For the measurement in all my sewing tutorials, I work with inches on the tape rule. If you are working with centimeters, just turn your measurement tape to the other side. The other side of your measurement tape is in centimeters, so it comes in inches and centimeters. After marking out the shoulder measurement of 8.5 inches, to get your armhole opening, that's your armhole, you just divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 inches. On the armhole sitting, just mark out your 8.5 inches, that is your shoulder measurement again, and then connect the line to the shoulder slope. Divide your armhole into 2, go in by half of an inch and connect it straight to the shoulder slope, and then use the cutout of the ruler to create your armhole. For the purpose of this tutorial, I am using a neckline of 3 inches for the width for the front piece, and then I'm going to come down to like 4 inches. Now if you want it to be lower than this, you can use 5 inches, so I'm using only 4 inches, or you can just divide your bust measurement by 12 and use whatever you get as your width and your depth for this measurement. And then I connect it to the 1 inch shoulder slope. I'm using pins to secure it so that it does not move. Under the armhole, you can now divide your bust measurement by 4 and then write out your bust measurement. Now you can add a bit of ease if you want, depending on how free you want it to be, or you can just add your sewing allowance. In this case, I'm adding a little bit of ease, so I'm adding a half an inch ease, and then I'm going to add my sewing allowance of 1 inch. Around the hip measurement, I'm marking out 12.5 inches. The hip measurement is 46 inches divided by 4 is 11.5 inches, but I'm marking out 12.5 inches. 1 inch will be our sewing allowance. So I'm going to connect it from the bust area to the hip, and that will be it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. As you are cutting it, don't forget to add half an inch around the armhole and half an inch around the shoulder for joining the shoulder. Using the front piece as a pattern to cut out the back piece, I folded the leftover fabric according to the bust measurement, and then I placed the front piece on it. Now I marked out a line just to keep it straight, and then I placed it exactly around the bust area. So the back is going to be really high for this part, and then the front will be very low. I went ahead to cut it out. Now after cutting it out, we will now cut out the neckline. For the neckline, I'll be using half an inch for the back, and then I will maintain the 4 inches depth for the front. So cut out the back neckline first. Take out the pin so that you separate it. You don't make mistake and cut the back and the front together. Okay, trim out the excess of the back piece and then cut out the neckline for the front. After separating it, I used the back piece to cut out the facing for the back piece. Now I made the facing for the back piece the same length as the back piece. You will understand why when we start adding the ruffles at the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the shape I want the back opening to be. Now this dress does not have a zipper, so we will need a bit of allowance for the neckline to pass. So I went down to at least 5 inches. You can go as low as 6 inches or 4 inches or 7 inches, but I went down to as low as 5 inches, and when I'm done sewing it, it will come down to like 5.5 inches because you're going to be making a notch around the curved area. Okay, so I'm going to place the facing on top of it, and then I will sew it round. Okay, this opening, and to conceal the opening completely, more or less to fasten it, we are going to be adding a loop and a button. We also need a full length facing for the back because we will need to be concealing the armhole. Take note of how I am using pins to secure the facing and the main fabric together so that it does not move. After pinning it together, you're going to go ahead and sew the neckline. You're going to open it up, top stitch the neckline before you now come down and sew the opening where we are going to be adding the loops, because when we are sewing it, we can now add the loop that we need for the button, and after which we'll attach the button when we are done. The same way, I am cutting out a facing as well for the front piece, and I need that facing to be longer than the armhole all the way to the bust, so that we can also conceal the front armhole. So I will place the facing on top of the front piece, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the neckline, make notches around it, and top stitch it on the lining piece. Then we can also sew the armhole. Then for the back piece, this is the loop I am going to be using for the fastening. Okay, this is it. It comes in different color. You get to cut out as many as you want. For this particular outfit, I am using only one button, so I need just one loop. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out just one piece. You place it in between the lining piece and the main fabric when you are sewing it, exactly where you want it to be, and then you go ahead and sew it, and that's how it is. So I'm showing you how you're going to place it in. And now for the remaining fabric, I'm going to use it to cut out the fabrics I need for the flare. Now you decide how high or how low you want the back piece to be. Whatever length you decide you want the back to be, just add the yoke that you've cut out already for the back piece, and then whatever is remaining, that's what you're going to use to mark out your flare. So I'm marking out 12 inches in the length, and for the width it can be as long as you want. The longer the width, the fuller your flare. I've gone ahead to sew the neckline using the facing, as you can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew the armhole. That is why I made the facing really long. So I'm going to sew both armholes. To give it neat finishing, make sure to make some cuts around the curved area so that it will lap properly. This is the back piece. I have also done the facing, and I added a hemming gum, as you can see, and I also go ahead and top stitch the neckline. I also sew the armholes just like I will do for the front piece. And when I was sewing the back piece, the opening at the back piece, I added the loop that I'm going to be using for the button. Okay, if you look closely, you will see the loop. It's well secured. You have to top stitch there, make sure it is strongly secured. And when we're done, after turning it inside out and ironing it, we are going to add a button on the other side. So this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and sew the armhole and then iron them. This is it. I've sewn it, and I made cuts around the curved area of the armhole so that when I turn it inside out and iron it, it will come out really good. It will lay flat. So I'm going to turn it to the right side and show us how it looks. So this is it. We're going to be ironing this, but this will be after I've joined both shoulders. After I've joined the front piece and the back piece together on the shoulder, that's when I'll iron it. This is the back piece, and this is how it looks. I made cuts around the armhole as well. So let's turn it inside out. So I have turned it inside out, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the shoulders using the back piece lining to conceal the sewing for inseam finishing. So I'm passing the front piece through the back piece and then using my pin to secure it, and I'll take it to my machine and I'll go ahead and sew it. So I've sewn the shoulder and I've turned it inside out. So this is how it looks. And don't forget to sew the buttons that we're going to use to secure the neckline for fastening. And then for the waist snatching of this blouse, I cut out these two pieces of fabric, and I'm going to make it into a rope that I'm going to be attaching under the bust area to snatch the waist. And then this other piece of fabric, I cut it for the flare at the back. I cut it to be very long, so it will be very flowy and full at the back. So I'm going to go ahead and hem the down part of it and also hem the sides. Here it is. I've hemmed the down part and hemmed the side as well, as you can see, to make it neat. So when we are done joining the front and the back piece together, we can now attach the flare. Next, we are going to be attaching the band we are going to be using for the waist snatching. Okay, to attach the band, you take your tape rule and measure from your shoulder to your under bust or the curviest part of your waistline. You're going to mark it. Then you will divide your waist measurements into 4 and mark the middle of the top, so that you can measure from the middle of the top. You can measure where your waistline stops. If your waist is like 30 inches, divided by 4 will be 7.5 inches. So from the waistline, you're going to measure 7.5 inches to each side, and you attach the band, and then you pin it down, and then you measure from the center of the top again to the other side of the top. That's the left side. You measure 7.5 again. That's for someone whose waistline is 30 inches. But if your waistline is more than that, just use your waist measurement to achieve this and sew it. After sewing it, you can now join the sides of the front and the back. Okay, the sewing for the front and the back is going to be very fast because there isn't much to do. After doing that, we can now go ahead and attach our flare. Now to attach this flare, this is how it looks from the back. I've attached the band, as you can see, and I've also joined the sides. Now to attach the flare, you're going to find the center of the back. So I'm turning to the right side so I can find the center of the back. Okay, you fold your dress into two, find the center, pin it, and then you pick out your flare fabric. Like I said, this flare has to be very full, or depending on what you want or the fabric you have left over. Okay, so if it's fuller, it is finer. You've already seen the finished work and you see how it looks. So I'm going to pick out the center part of the flare fabric as well, and I'll pin it to the center of the top, and then I'll take the end of the flare and I'll pin it to the down part of the front piece. Okay, the plan is to pleat it. Okay, so I've pinned this back piece. I've pinned it all the way to this place. Look at how it looks from the right side. Okay, so look at how it looks. I'm going to go ahead and pin the other side. See how it looks? Really fine. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it all the way from this end, from the other end, and finish it up, and then I will sew it. The pleating depends on you. The size of the pleat, on how you do it, depends on you. If you don't know how to do a pleat, I'm going to leave a link in the description box for you to check out our tutorials where we did pleating on our dresses, so that you learn how to do pleats. Also, don't forget to tack your button. Okay, find a nice button. This is elastic, so it can fit into most sizes of button. It will fit. So just attack one button there and the top is ready. Okay guys, so see, I have attached the flare. Look at how it looks. I'm going to weave this inside, and this is our rope that we attached. This is for giving it a bit of a snatching around the waist. You can put this directly under your bust, or a little bit lower than that, but it should be on the curviest part of your waistline. Okay, and I have sewn a button to it, so just put it in. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the tutorial. Don't forget to like, share, and also leave a comment in the comment section. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in my next tutorial. Bye bye.